Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Israel's continuing strikes on Khan Yunis in southern Gaza and neighborhoods of northern Gaza City, even as Israeli officials claim they're abiding by the U.S.-brokered ceasefire. The attacks came as Israel confirmed Hamas had returned the bodies of 2 Israeli hostages, while the Nasser medical complex in Gaza reported Israel had returned the bodies of 30 Palestinian prisoners, some exhibiting signs of torture. Al Jazeera is reporting a Palestinian has been killed by Israeli gunfire in Gaza City. Meanwhile, the Washington Post is reporting a classified report from the State Department's Office of Inspector General found Israeli military units committed hundreds of possible violations of U.S. human rights law in Gaza that would take years to investigate. It's the first time a U.S. government report has reviewed the scope of Israeli actions in Gaza under the Leahy laws, legislation that bars U.S. military assistance to foreign military personnel accused of human rights abuses. A new investigation details how the tech giants Google and Amazon violated their own terms of service in a lucrative contract with the Israeli government to provide cloud computing and AI services used during Israel's 2-year assault on the Gaza Strip. The investigation by 972 Magazine, Local Call, and The Guardian finds that as part of the $1.2 billion deal known as Project Nimbus, Google and Amazon are obliged to secretly notify Israel if a foreign court orders them to hand over data stored on the company's cloud platforms. This comes just weeks after a campaign by current and former workers at Microsoft compelled the tech giant to cut off Israel's access to its Azure cloud computing platform, which Israel had been using to spy on millions of Palestinian civilian phone calls. The death toll from Hurricane Melissa has risen to 49. On Thursday, Jamaica's Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, shared images of the hardest-hit areas of Jamaica, showing homes lying in ruin amidst twisted corrugated metal, dangling power lines, flooded neighborhoods, and streets covered in mud. Holness says the southern beach town of Black River is almost totally destroyed. At least 19 deaths were recorded across Jamaica. Meanwhile, Haiti reported 30 deaths due to days of torrential rains from the hurricane. 20 others remain missing. On Thursday, Venezuela said it's sending aid to Jamaica and Cuba. Meanwhile, officials in Havana said they're open to receiving disaster assistance from the United States. More than 730,000 Cubans evacuated ahead of the storm. Many returned to scenes of destruction and an uncertain future.
Life before the cyclone was already difficult because we don't have resources. Here we're surviving however we can, with a lot of fear about what's to come. Because for today at least, we have food, but tomorrow we don't even know what we're going to eat.
In the United Kingdom, officials at Buckingham Palace say Prince Andrew will be stripped of his royal titles and will vacate his home at the Royal Lodge in Windsor. He will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. This follows new revelations about the extent of Andrew's friendship with the late serial sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, and allegations by survivor Virginia Giuffre that Andrew forced her to have sex with him 3 times, beginning when she was 17. Giuffre died in April of an apparent suicide. Her family said Thursday she'd, quote, brought down a British prince with her truth and extraordinary courage, unquote. A recent poll showed 91% of Britons have a negative opinion of Andrew. This is London resident Harry Humphreys.
I'm happy he's got a strip on his titles, his royal titles as well. He should be kicked out of the country because these guys live off us. We're the working class, we're the people in charge, basically.
Meanwhile, across the pond here in the United States, House Speaker Mike Johnson is continuing to refuse to seat Arizona Congressmember-elect Adelita Grijalva. She would be the final vote needed for the discharge petition demanding Congress release the Epstein files being held by the Department of Justice. The U.S. federal government shutdown has entered its 31st day. On Thursday, President Trump urged congressional Republicans to eliminate the Senate filibuster to pass a funding bill that would end the shutdown. Vice President J.D. Vance warned holiday travel could be a disaster if the shutdown continues. Meanwhile, food benefits for about 42 million Americans are set to expire this weekend as the Trump administration refuses to tap into the $5 billion contingency fund for SNAP. That Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. On Thursday, a federal judge in Boston signaled she would order the Trump administration to fund SNAP, saying, quote, "Congress has put money in an emergency fund. It's hard for me to understand how this is not an emergency," she said. Meanwhile, several states, including Louisiana, New York, Oregon, Rhode Island, and Virginia, have declared states of emergency to disperse state funds for food assistance programs. And several other states have boosted funding to food pantries to mitigate the looming hunger crisis. This is Rizwan Hawkins-Jones, a sophomore at Georgia State University, a recipient of SNAP.
Your country is supposed to be supporting you, and the last thing you want to worry about is if you're going to have food on your table at the end of the night. If you're working every day, the main thing you want is food. You shouldn't have to worry about all these expenses, plus if you're going to eat or if your family's going to eat.
The Trump administration sharply reducing the number of refugees admitted annually into the U.S. to 7,500 people. Most of them will be white South Africans. That is a steep decline from last year's cap of 125,000 set under President Joe Biden. Sharif Ali, president of the International Refugee Assistance Project, said, quote, "By privileging Afrikaners while continuing to ban thousands of refugees who've already been vetted and approved, the administration's once again politicizing a humanitarian program," unquote. Federal agents are actively using facial recognition technology in the field to identify people and their immigration status during stops that seem to have little justification beyond the color of someone's skin. That's according to a report in 404 Media, which cites several videos in which mass federal agents are seen using smartphones to photograph people after demanding they show ID. In this example, a Border Patrol agent confronted a pair of teenagers in Chicago.
If you just tell me that you were born here and give me an ID, you'll be good.
I was born here, but I don't got ID.
You don't have no ID?
No.
Can you do facial?
Can you do a facial? One of the mass federal agents said to another. It's not clear what smartphone app the agents were using. 404 Media previously reported immigration agents have been using Mobile Fortify, an app built on a database of 200 million images, which can return the subject's name, date of birth, alien number, and whether they've been given an order of deportation. In more immigration news, new video shows federal agents in Rockingham County, Virginia, violently arresting a mother driving her daughter to school after she failed to recite her Social Security number during an immigration stop. Video of the incident shows the 16-year-old daughter of Jakey Funes Andrade crying out as the agents tackle her mother to the ground, press her face down into the pavement, and handcuff her. Before the violent arrest, Funes Andrade reportedly showed agents her work permit, Social Security card, driver's license, and car registration, but they arrested her anyway. She was taken to the Harrisonburg Regional Jail. Her daughter said, quote, "I want this video out there because I want my mother home," unquote. Meanwhile, in Chicago, a federal judge on Thursday ordered Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bavino to appear for a deposition to explain federal agents' use of tear gas and other less lethal weapons against protesters who've taken to the streets to oppose the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. We'll have more on this story after headlines. A top U.S. military official, Major General Ronald Burkett, has ordered the National Guard of all 50 states, Washington, D.C., and U.S. territories to form, quote, quick reaction forces for riot control purposes. That's according to an internal Pentagon memo reviewed by The Guardian, which details how 23,500 troops will be trained in the use of batons, body shields, tasers, and pepper spray on crowds. The memo also says the Pentagon will deploy military trainers to all states and territories with the goal of making the quick reaction forces ready by January 1st, with each state reporting on its monthly progress. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has ordered the military to provide dozens of lawyers to the Justice Department for temporary assignments in Memphis and near the U.S.-Mexico border that could run through next fall. That's according to the Associated Press, citing a memo sent Monday to all branches of the military and the chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, seeking to bolster the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. This follows the Pentagon's recent move to send up to 600 military lawyers to the Justice Department to serve as temporary immigration judges. The UN Security Council Thursday condemned the mass killings by the Rapid Support Forces in Al-Fasher in Sudan's North Darfur region. It comes as Sudan's government says the RSF has killed at least 2,000 people in the 3 days since the paramilitary group has seized control of the city. Here's Martha Ama Akiat-Pobi, the Assistant Secretary General of the UN for Africa.
Despite commitments to protect civilians, the reality is that no one is safe in El Fasher. There is no safe passage for civilians to leave the city. There are also reports of large-scale atrocities perpetrated by the rapid support forces in Bara, in North Kordofan, following the recent capture of the city.
And in Brazil, protests erupted after a massive police raid on a drug gang in favelas in Rio de Janeiro that left 119 people dead. The favela's residents demonstrated against the use of excessive force by police and called on Rio's governor to step down. Earlier this week, over 2,500 law enforcement agents stormed the favelas, home to some 300,000 people, considered to be the headquarters of one of Brazil's most powerful organized crime groups. This is Graciele Fernandes do Carmo, the sister of a victim of the police operation described as the deadliest raid in Rio's history.
My brother wasn't a bum, you understand? My brother was 22 years old and had finished high school. He had a formal job, and so they destroyed him. They ruined my brother's life. They ruined our family. They destroyed our family.
And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to make sure you never miss a video. And for more of our audience-supported journalism, go to democracynow.org, where you can download our news app, sign up for our newsletter, subscribe to the daily podcast, and so much more.